Singapore used to be a small island with not much to offer, but now it is one of the world's richest countries. This is an amazing story about having a plan, having vision, and not giving up. Because of its strategic location, Singapore became a global financial hub by letting global trade happen and coming up with new ways to run its economy after it got its freedom in 1965. The country grew very quickly because it paid attention to its schools, roads, and business-friendly laws. As we will talk more about Singapore's rise to great wealth, an interesting question comes to mind. How did the small city-state with no natural resources build an economy that was so strong and successful so quickly? It's the richest country in Asia and one of the richest in the world. This tiny island nation is smaller than New York City. There is more money in it per person than in the UK, the US, France, and other rich countries. In the past 60 years, Singapore has changed from a trade port for colonists to a busy financial hub that people all over the world envy. And any government that wants to build a strong, high-tech economy looks to it as an example. It is rich because a party that has been in power since freedom has planned for decades. The plan that Kuan Yew made in 1965, Singapore finally achieved its independence. Its first Prime Minister, Kuan Yew, along with other leaders who were just getting started, were aware that the country's economy was struggling since it lacked any natural resources. Consequently, if they desired to make the economy dependent on exports and bring in money from other countries, they would need to create improvements in the manufacturing sector. Because of the location, it was in a superior position. Because of its proximity to the Strait of Malacca, the Indian Ocean, and the South China Sea, it serves as a significant focal point for commercial activity. It began by transforming Singapore into a manufacturing base with a particular emphasis on companies that required a large number of workers in order to successfully eliminate the high unemployment rate. Lee, on the other hand, looked at industry as a means to achieve a more developed economy from the beginning of his life. He made certain that the public transit system functions effectively, and that the governance of the country is risk-free and, for the most part, clean. And in addition to that, he made certain that the healthcare system was among the very best in the entire earth. Changes in finances. Lee started building the foundations for finance in the 1980s. Finance is now Singapore's biggest source of wealth. He gave the financial services business less strict rules like countries like the US and UK have done. That way of doing things is still clear today. There are regional offices for 4,200 multinational companies here. One main reason for that is the low tax rate. Singapore's business tax rate is only 17%, and for some tasks, it can be as low as 13.5%. Another reason for this is that Lee's replacement, Goh Chok Tong, kept trying to bring in big business. Singapore changed its focus to a knowledge-based economy that depends more on creativity and making more Singaporeans into businesses. Kuan Yew's oldest son, Lee Hsien Loong, became Prime Minister in 2004. He also knew that it had to be an even better place to live to keep businesses and money coming in. Fun and leisure activities. Because it is in such a great spot, Singapore had to become an attraction in and of itself. That is a big part of Singapore's success. In the 1970s, it started a big project to clean up the land. Over the years, that area was turned into not only offices and housing buildings, but also places to have fun, which changed the look of the city's skyline. Adding the F1 night race is one example. The government also liked the idea of casinos, which are called integrated resorts in Singapore. And it was the perfect time because both the Chinese and Indian economies were doing very well. Singapore was in the perfect place to draw the region's very rich, who could park their money and enjoy the casinos and nightlife. It was found that Singapore's assets under control went from being worth $420 billion at the start of Lee Hsien Loong's term to being worth $3.6 trillion in 2022. Problems in Singapore. Although the economy of Singapore has been doing well, there are some people who are unhappy with the way the government restricts civil rights and the media. It is not freedom of the press or the news media that is the most important thing for Singapore. Rather, it is the character of the country. It has been stated by an individual who does not approve of Kuan Yew's leadership that there was a great deal of anxiety in Singapore. Those who were afraid to speak negatively against the government were afraid to do so. Another criticism leveled against the governments that followed was that they were excessively authoritarian. Even now, the majority of protests are considered illegal. That the people who live there are undergoing change is something that the administration is well aware of. This contains a greater variety of stuff. It generates a great deal more noise. Nevertheless, Singapore must continue to maintain its competitive advantage because other countries look to it as a model for how to expand. The threat that climate change poses to the nation's security is likewise growing significantly. Change of leadership. This is Singapore, as it will be when Lawrence Wong takes over as Prime Minister. The way Wong led the country's reaction to COVID-19 got him praise. He grew up in public housing. People think of him as having more of an average man's touch. We should make things better than they are now. It's important to keep doing what works well for Singapore. The People's Action Party still runs the government, but fewer and fewer people support it. In the years to come, politics will be much more heated than they have ever been. Things have gone wrong because of the rise in wealth. The cost of homes has gone up. It now costs more to live. Getting foreign workers has been a big part of Singapore's growth plan. People in the country worry that foreigners are taking too many good jobs when there are too many foreign workers. Not everyone in the area agrees with the numbers that show less difference, but that's not how some people feel. The country's population is getting older quickly, which will also make it harder for the economy to grow and for the government to spend money. Wong's job is to keep the city-state's hard-won success going, whether that means dealing with angry citizens or making sure Singapore continues to grow into a tech hub. This is it for today. We hope you enjoyed the video. If so, then share your thoughts in the comments and also share this video with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you can never miss our video.